The identity of Black Filipinos has long been shaped by a tension between marginalization and resilience. For centuries, they have been relegated to the fringes of Philippine society, both geographically and socially. Yet, despite this marginalization, Black Filipinos have maintained a strong sense of identity, rooted in their ancestral lands, cultural traditions, and community ties. The question of identity for Black Filipinos is complex, as it is intertwined with broader debates about race, ethnicity, and indigeneity in the Philippines. While the term Black Filipino is often used to describe the Ida, Adi, and other Negrito groups, these communities do not necessarily identify themselves in racial terms. Instead, they see themselves as part of specific cultural and linguistic groups, each with its own distinct traditions, languages, and histories. For many Black Filipinos, their identity is primarily tied to their land and community, rather than to the broader racial categories imposed by colonial and post-colonial governments. At the same time, the experiences of Black Filipinos are shaped by their racialization within the broader Philippine society. As dark-skinned, curly-haired individuals, they have long been subjected to discrimination and stereotyping based on their physical appearance. This racialization has been reinforced by a colonial legacy that privileged lighter-skinned, Christianized Filipinos over darker-skinned indigenous peoples. As a result, Black Filipinos have often been positioned at the bottom of the social hierarchy, facing discrimination in education, employment, and social life. In response to this marginalization, Black Filipinos have developed various forms of resistance and resilience. This resistance has taken many forms, from armed uprisings against colonial powers to legal battles for land rights in the post-colonial period. Black Filipino communities have also resisted cultural assimilation, maintaining their distinct languages, traditions, and belief systems in the face of pressure to conform to the dominant norms of lowland Christianized society. One of the most significant forms of resistance for Black Filipinos has been their ongoing struggle for land rights. For centuries, Black Filipino communities have faced the threat of displacement from their ancestral lands, first by colonial powers and later by the post-colonial state and commercial interests. The fight for land has been central to the identity and survival of Black Filipino communities, as their land is not only a source of livelihood but also a crucial part of their cultural and spiritual identity. In recent decades, Black Filipinos have increasingly turned to legal and political avenues to defend their land rights. The Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act of 1997 was a landmark piece of legislation that recognized the rights of indigenous peoples to their ancestral lands. However, the implementation of this law has been uneven, and many Black Filipino communities continue to face threats from mining companies, loggers, and other commercial interests. Legal battles over land rights have become a central arena of resistance for Black Filipinos, as they fight to preserve their land and way of life. Cultural resilience has also been a key aspect of Black Filipino identity. Despite centuries of marginalization and cultural suppression, Black Filipinos have maintained their distinct traditions, languages, and belief systems. These cultural practices are often deeply connected to the land and the natural world, reflecting the close relationship that Black Filipino communities have with their environment. For example, the Ida people have a rich tradition of oral storytelling, music, and dance that reflects their deep connection to the land and their history as a people. These cultural practices have been passed down through generations, serving as a way for Black Filipinos to maintain their identity and resist cultural assimilation. In recent years, there has been a growing movement to document and preserve these cultural practices, as younger generations of Black Filipinos seek to reconnect with their heritage.